Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Ichinoseki in Iwate Prefecture in Japan, and we're going to visit a craft brewery who have a very good reputation. These guys apparently produce some of the most kind of experimental and nicest beers that you're going to find over here. So for this one we are going to go to Iwate Kura and we're having a taste of their Koharu White Ale, which is their spring seasonal beer, a 5% Belgian style wit beer, orange peel, coriander and nutmeg apparently in this one, so it should be very interesting. It didn't have a rating on Rate Beer, not enough people have tried it evidently, but it came highly recommended from Koji at liquor shop Asahiya here in Taishibashi, Iwate, Osaka. He's given me some very good beers, so I'm very confident that this will be a really quite nice one. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future beer reviews that I'll do from Iwate Kura beer. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. If you want to see my other Japanese beer reviews, go into the channel homepage and search for Japan and they'll all come up. Do check out the link to liquor store Asahiya in Taishibashi, Iwate, very good beer shop like I said, and also check out the link to Casey and Eric's channel, Sotogami Akiha Beer. Two nice American guys from Tokyo and they do some pretty good Japanese beer reviews. But anyway, let's look a little bit at Iwate Kura beer. These guys have got quite an interesting history. So this company started brewing beer in 1995, and this of course was a year after the tax laws changed in Japan. Of course before this, I think it was 2 million litres or something you had to brew before you could be a commercial brewery. But like many craft brewers in Japan, Iwate Kura find their roots in sake brewing, and the brewery's parent company is Ichinoseki, which is now owned by Koki Sato, who's the third generation of his family to own the brewery. But most of the day-to-day operations though are done by his son Wataru, and the brewery apparently is a bit of a cooperative brewery. There's 5 different companies actually backing this brewery and helping them distribute their products and things, so in a way it's a very unique brewery. I think like I say, you would maybe call it a cooperative brewery. But the current brewer at the brewery is Niwa, who actually joined the company in 2009, taking over the main brewing duties from Wataru, and he'd apparently worked for Hakusei Keikan, and he was trained by an English brewer, and he has a real interest in Belgian beers apparently, so this is probably why he's brewing things like this Belgian wit beer here. But since joining the company he's added many new beers to the range, many of which are now highly decorated, and the brewery also have an on-site restaurant which is in this kind of beautiful old style Japanese building. If you go on the brewery website you'll see the pictures of this thing. It really is very beautiful. But Iwate Kura, as I mentioned to you, are based in Iwate-ken, which is it was actually part of the area that was affected by the earthquake in Japan back in 2011, and a lot of the brewery's equipment was actually damaged during this earthquake, and the brewery was out of production for quite a period of time. It took them a while to get both their kegs and their bottling operations going again, but during this period the town actually had very little food and no electricity and things like that for quite a period of time. But during this time the brewery and restaurant, the staff from there would actually go to the brewery and cook food together over an open grill. The articles and stuff that I've read on this brewery really indicate that the brewery are a very kind of tight-knit company, and a lot of the staff are very good friends and things like that. So apparently some very nice people are behind Iwate Kura beer and Ichinoseki Shuzo sake as well. So really nice company. Hopefully I can get up there and have a look at Iwate Prefecture and some of these nice breweries up there sometime too. There's meant to be some really nice things up there. But that's enough about the brewery for just now. Just to list the other beers you can get from these guys before we taste this one. In the regular range there's the Weizen, the Pale Ale, the Black Beer, the Red Ale, the IPA, Passion Ale, and there's also the Kura Kara Stout, which is an oyster stout. That's supposed to be their most highly regarded beer, and I will review that one for you at some time in the next couple of weeks, so do keep an eye out for that review. And they also have a few seasonal beers as well. Apparently there's a very interesting pepper beer, and there's a barley wine and a smoked Scotch ale and things like that. They've got quite a few different beers that appear from time to time, so keep an eye on their Facebook page and on the website and things like that, and you will see a lot of interesting things coming from this brewery. Like I said, they've got a very good reputation. So that's enough about the brewery just now. Let's actually have a look at this beer. So this one is a 5% wit beer. It's their spring seasonal beer, like I told you. It's a malt base of barley and wheat malts, all sourced locally from Iwate Prefecture and Ichinoseki. And apparently it also has additions to nutmeg, coriander and orange peel to the brew as well. So it should be a very, very interesting one for us to take a look at. So we'll open it up now. I'll let you have a little quick look at the artwork first though. There you can see the bee kind of going around and enjoying the spring blooms and things like that. You can see some of the Japanese text in there. As you can see, this is Koharu, and I think this is Eru or something like that. I'm not sure what the Eru actually means, but apparently the beer is just known as Koharu white beer. So Koharu in the hiragana, and then this is katakana down here. And there you can see they've actually got quite an interesting logo. This is Kura apparently is like a storehouse or something like this, and the logo that the brewery used, this thing here, is kind of based on the kanji that you actually use for that word. So it's quite a cool design actually. There you can see on the back it tells you 5% and it's all in Japanese. Best before, it's got 28/9/29. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Maybe it's a batch number or something like that, or I don't know. Maybe it means it's best before the 28th or 29th of September. I really am not too sure about that. I've never seen a number quite like that on a beer. But let's get this guy open then and we'll get on with the tasting. It should be really nice. So yeah, we'll get this guy out and into the glass. There's quite a bit of sediment visible in the bottle on this one. So we'll just shake it up and put that in. Because of course when it comes to wheat beers, you actually do want a little bit of sediment. It always gives the beer a nice bigger mouthfeel and things like that. So it should be really quite interesting. But as you can see with this beer, it's actually poured a very, very pale, it's almost like cloudy apple juice. The colour of that beer is really just like a kind of cloudy apple colour. It's really quite interesting. I was expecting something a little bit more kind of golden, I guess you would say, from that. So quite an interesting colour on this one. As you can see, there's a good 2 fingers of a frothy white head on this one. It looks really, really good. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. It looks very, very nice. There's a good bit of sediment just visible in here as well. Like I said, you can see that in the bottle before you open it up, and you can smell some of this nice wheaty spice there. It'll be quite interesting to try this one with the local Japanese wheat. Of course, all of these kind of hop products and malt products, they'll taste differently wherever they're produced across the world because of the different the different minerals in the soil. So yeah, it looks very nice. As you can see, no transparency to this beer at all. It is completely opaque. So let's look at the aroma more closely. Now that's really interesting. I've never quite smelt a wheat beer like that. It's almost like you have the wheat and then you've got a lot of sort of appley and peary esters on top of it. But the nutmeg and the coriander, I think it's mainly the nutmeg that's coming out of this one. Nutmeg, of course, isn't... I know what coriander smells like, and you can pick that up in here. But this is quite an unusual aroma, and I think it's mainly the nutmeg that's coming out of here. It's not something that I come across too often. Nutmeg, I think, is more of a kind of American thing, actually, rather than a European thing. So I think it really is nutmeg that's quite prominent in this one, because it's quite unusual for me. But there's a bit of lemony citrus in there. You can pick up some of the orange peel elements too. It's got that sharper orange peel kind of character in there, but you can pick up a bit of juicy orange too. Some nice grassy and slightly floral hops. A bit of bready aroma. You can pick up the wheat, like I'm saying, and the nutmeg and sort of spicy things in here too are definitely quite interesting. So yeah, an interesting aroma. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy this before you open it up for yourself. But yeah, let's get stuck into this one. So this is the Koharu White Ale from Iwate Prefecture in Japan. It should be really nice. Yeah, really nice, really interesting beer actually. Iwate Kura beer, that went right out my head as I was going to say that there. That sometimes happens when you do the beer videos. But yeah, Koharu White Ale from Iwate Kura beer. Really, really nice beer, this one actually. So yeah, this is quite interesting. It's not like any other wheat beer I've come across before. You've got a very, very smooth wheaty character to this one. It's almost a little bit earthy too. The spicy elements that you're getting from the nutmeg and the coriander, they're really quite prominent in this beer, and that makes it different from any other sort of wheat beer I've come across before. Yeah. So the middle of the palate, as you'd expect, you've got a really smooth, bready, wheaty character there that goes right across the middle of the tongue. It's really, really nice. The middle of the middle of the palate, you can feel a little bit of dryness and spiciness coming from the nutmeg and also from the coriander as well. And it's quite an interesting blend. That malt base is very, very smooth. As you move out towards the edge of the palate, you start to get a little bit of dryness, which is actually some of the hops, you know, around the edge of the palate, around the front curve of the tongue, it's quite smooth and grassy. As you move a bit further back, it's floral and aromatic. There's a bit of dryness there. Maybe there's a teeny little bit of earthy character there in the back corner of the palate too. But this is definitely an interesting beer. I've never had a white beer or a wheat ale kind of like that with this one before. It's not really like a Belgian wit beer. It says on Rate Beer that it's a wit beer, but it certainly doesn't taste like the Belgian variety. I mean, these local malts make this beer really interesting. If you just go behind the front curve of the tongue there too, you can pick up a little bit of fruity character. For me, it's a little bit more lemony than it is orange peel, but at the same time it's kind of dusty. It almost is kind of, I guess if it's orange peel it would be the skin and things that they've put in to the brew, but you can definitely taste that almost slightly cloudier fruity element to this beer rather than being a really sharp kind of juicy citrus character from this beer. It's quite interesting. I want to say there is maybe a little bit of an appley or peary ester in here as well, just towards the front of the palate. But one thing's for sure with this one is it's a really interesting beer, this. You know, it's really just unlike anything I've tried before. If you get the chance to try this beer, I really would recommend that you do. It really is just a something very, very unusual. I've never come across something like this on the channel before. And on the basis of this, you know, I can see why the brewery are rated quite highly, because if they're willing to experiment with things like this is very different from the Japanese G beer, sort of Weizen beers based on the German ones that you'll get. So it's quite interesting this, and it's different from the Belgian beers. Belgian and German beers in Japan are pretty damn popular, and this is different from those as well. So it's definitely worth checking out if you come across it. How likely you are to find this outside of Japan, I really don't know, but this is a brewery you do want to check out. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I'd say it's mid-bodied. The carbonation is pretty smooth on this. It has a little bit of hoppy dryness. There's maybe a little bit of an oily mouthfeel, I would say, but mainly it's actually quite chalky. It does have a little bit of a chalky mouthfeel, almost similar to some of these organic beers that you get in Germany actually. It has a little bit of a similar mouthfeel to that, but a little bit of hoppy dryness. The malt base overall is quite smooth, and that's where a lot of the chalky mouthfeel is coming from, and there's not really a juicy character from the fruit either, which is interesting. And in the aftertaste, it's really that wheat that's sitting there, and then the spicy character on top, and just a little bit of the hoppy dryness in there. It's an interesting beer, and I would recommend that you check it out, because it's like nothing I've ever come across before. In terms of when you should drink this, it's definitely a summer beer, and I wouldn't recommend you pair this one with food just because it is that unusual. Just try it for yourself and enjoy the kind of quite unique flavour that you get from this one. It really is quite an interesting and unusual beer. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. This is the Koharu White Ale from Iwate Kura beer, part of Sekinoichi, I think I'm pronouncing that right. And it's really interesting, so let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. Let me know your favourite beers from this brewery as well. I will be reviewing the Oyster Stout, which will be my very first Oyster Stout review on the channel in a couple of days' time. You'll see that one appear. But this was really interesting. Let me know your own thoughts on the beer and the brewery. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Make sure you check out the social media and liquor store Asahiya and Casey and Eric's channel Sotogami Akihabira. I'll see you soon with another beer review. This one is I'm trying to get this one, the Koharu White Ale from Iwate Kura beer, part of Sekinoichi in Japan. So yeah, kanpai just now, and I will catch you soon with more beer reviews. Cheers.